Today we're going to compare my new F-150 versus my old F-150. Here we go. So we're in the 86 F-150. A couple of big things in the interior, of course, is this is the Lariat, so that's the really nice version. It's got AM/FM radio, standard. In the Lariat, it's got a whopping 3 speakers. So there's one up in the front and one in each door. They're terrible. It's got a column shift. It's got a 4-speed automatic. The fuel economy on this truck is not good. I did also you have to remember that this truck was designed back when the speed limit was 55. So driving at today's high speeds of 65, 75 even here in Texas, the gas mileage definitely suffers. I went on a 500-mile round trip down from Houston, or I technically live in Cypress, which is northwest Houston, down to Ingleside, Texas, which is around Corpus Christi area. It's a round trip of about 250 miles each way, so 500 miles. I got 9.25 miles to the gallon, which is not good. Now this truck has, like I said, the 4-speed. It's got a 351 Windsor. It's a carbureted motor. You could get an optional EFI motor back there, but I guess the guy that bought this truck didn't trust it at the time, which that was a big thing back in the 80s, going from carbureted to EFI. People were worried, kind of like nowadays people are going from V8s to V6s, so a lot of controversy there. But all in all, the ride is really nice. It's fairly quiet for an old truck at low speeds. Once you get to high speeds, the wind noise is just awful. These things do not have any sound deadening. This one has the nice headliner, but it's very, very noisy. Comfort-wise, it rides fairly smooth. It's not super smooth. It rides like a truck, so you get to bounce around. I'm sure you're seeing in the video. You get to bounce around a little bit. The steering's really not bad. I mean, it's fairly light. It's not like a sports car or anything like that, but you know, it turns when it's supposed to turn, and it drives like a truck. Trucks used to drive like trucks. Nowadays, all trucks drive like cars, unless you buy a Super Duty or a Ram 3/4 ton or bigger than that. Those still drive like trucks, but for the most part, this is back when trucks used to drive like trucks. Acceleration is fair, I guess. It's not anything impressive. You're not going to beat anybody off the line, but it's definitely something you want to plan for your turns, plan for your stops. This is a small truck. It's a single cab short bed, so it's got 6.5-foot bed. It's definitely not a big, comfortable cross-country driver. So that's what it's like to drive an 86 F-150. This truck's like a time capsule. Takes you right back. There's no Bluetooth, there's not even a cassette player, just a regular AM/FM radio. So you have to know what you're doing, pay attention to what you're doing. You got 2 speeds of windshield wiper. You got slow and a little bit faster. The headlights are not bad, actually, but the coolest thing about this truck, and anybody that drives old trucks will tell you this, the coolest thing is the switch. The headlight switch for the high beams is on the floor, and that's awesome. Bring that back. People should have that. But I think that's really cool. Now I'm back in my F-150, my 2018 F-150. As you can notice, much quieter. That's the biggest difference, I think, technology-wise, that Ford and other car makers have made over the decades, of just making these cars so much quieter. Between the extra thick glass and the sound guard that they put in the windshields, to all the sound insulation in the floors and the doors and the roof, and the firewall is a big deal. They make huge leaps and bounds in that. So just making the interiors, especially in trucks, much more comfortable to ride in and be in for long periods of time. Power wise, the 86 has a 351 Windsor. It's a 5.8 liter if you're doing the metric stuff, but it produces 210 horsepower and 305 foot-pounds of torque. Not too shabby for back in the day. This is a 5 liter or a 302. It produces 395 horsepower and 400 even foot-pounds of torque. Transmission wise, this has a 10-speed. The 86 has a 4-speed. Gearing wise, the 86 actually has a little bit better gearing for towing. It's a 355. This has a 331. Payload capacity, this is much higher than the old truck. The old truck is rated at around, and I did the math on it, was 909 pounds in the bed. This one is rated from the Ford owner's manual at 2,290 pounds. So it's quite a bit different. Towing wise, those old trucks, I've seen people tow a lot more than what they're rated for. Same thing with these. I think people tow a lot more than what they're rated for. But the 86 is rated to tow 6,250 pounds. This particular version of the F-150 that I'm driving is on the lower side of the towing because I don't have the max tow package and things like that. But it's rated at 9,200 pounds, which is still no slouch. Would I ever tow 9,200 pounds with a half-ton pickup? Not for long distances. I see people all the time saying, "Oh, you can tow whatever you want with a half-ton." They're just not built to tow heavy load. This truck tows surprisingly well. I've towed my trailer. It weighs, when it's fully loaded, about 7,600 pounds. I have the trailer brake controller turned on. It actually tows really well. It's very confident, inspiring. It does good on the highway. I don't exceed 65, 70 miles an hour. I keep it pretty docile. The towing miles per gallon is actually pretty good. You know, I've averaged 14 and a half, 15 miles a gallon, which I think is excellent for that heavy of a load. As far as interior upgrades from the old truck, I think the only safety feature the old truck had was a horn. There's no ABS, there's no blind spot monitoring, there's no automatic headlights, there's no reverse sensing, there's no traffic monitoring on the sides, there's no backup camera, there's nothing. There's so much safety wise that these new trucks have that the old trucks you just can't compete with them. They're just, from a safety standpoint, they're just light years ahead. So you just have to really know what you're doing in those old trucks. You have to be aware. Like I said before, they're just like time capsules. They'll take you back to an earlier, simpler time when vehicles weren't luxury in every category, right? So a truck was a truck. It was meant to do work. It wasn't meant to, go tow hay and go move dirt and rock and tow trailers, and then also take your wife to the fancy dinners and not be embarrassed that you're in a truck. So these new trucks it's just night and day. Now, interior wise, you can't get a single cab Lariat anymore. They just don't exist. And you actually have to special order an extra cab, super cab is what Ford calls them, Lariat. They're not something, you can't build it online. You have to go to the dealer and physically fill out an order sheet to specifically get a Lariat extra cab. I don't like the Chevy and the Chevy and Ram smaller doors. I don't really care for those because when you open these doors, it's empty all the way through. There's no middle bar. So I don't like having that middle bar in the way. So that's what I was looking for. Personal preference again, it's just what I like. The bed sizes on the old truck and this truck are actually almost identical. They're both 6.5 feet long. They both hold a 4-foot sheet of plywood width-wise. They're about the same. If you want to see what the absolute difference is between an old truck and a new truck, look at the keys, right? So an old key has absolutely nothing on it. It doesn't do anything. You can push them all you want. Look at this key. It's got unlock, lock, remote tailgate right there, everything, remote start. They couldn't even have ever dreamed that a truck would have remote tailgates in 1986. Is it a function you need? No, you don't need a remote tailgate. I don't care who you are. It's a stupid feature. So I know right now we're in the tailgate wars, and Ford and Chevy and Dodge, or sorry, Ram, are all trying to compete to see who has the coolest tailgate. It's tailgate, seriously, guys. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now a tailgate's going to cost you $3,000 if you get in a rear end accident. They're going to hit a point where trucks are just ridiculous. So right now, I think we're in the golden age of trucks. I mean, when you look down 20 years and you look back and you're like, man, the late 2000 teens that's when trucks were just at the pinnacle. They were the perfect mix of luxury features and could still do lots of work. I think we're about to jump past the luxury feature requirement. An S-Class Mercedes and a pickup truck should not be on the level playing field, especially not cost-wise. This truck was not cheap. Trucks used to be fairly cheap, but this is definitely on the lower spectrum of trucks. This was the sticker price was around $51,000. I didn't pay near that, but with all the incentives and stuff Ford offers, you never pay sticker price anymore. But I was on the lot and I saw an F450, the big giant 450. It was a 4x4 limited power stroke, every option, bell and whistle, and the sticker price was $95,000. My first house cost $95,000. I could not imagine what the monthly payment is on a $95,000 pickup. You got to do a lot of work to justify that. Now, with that said, it's on the lot, so that means somebody's going to buy that truck. And I've seen them on Auto Trader and things like that, and people take that $95,000 truck and they do a lift and 37s and giant wheels, and they turn it into a $150,000 truck, and that is just crazy to me. But hey, I'm not hating. Buy what you want. It's just crazy to me. I'm not gonna buy a six-figure pickup. That's crazy. But maybe you need a six-figure pickup. Maybe you have a certain business. Maybe you do a lot of hot shotting. Maybe you run a hot shot business and you are on the you're on the road 500,000 miles in 2 or 3 years, and you want something that will take care of you, will massage your seats and drive itself to a point, automatic cruise control and automatic high beams and automatic everything else and windshield wipers, and maybe you need all that, or maybe you just want all that. There's a difference. But if you can afford it, by God, go buy your truck. I'm not telling somebody to not buy a truck. Go buy whatever you damn well please. I don't care. But in my personal opinion, my pocketbook won't allow me to go buy a six-figure pickup. So with that all said, it's been leaps and bounds between old trucks and new trucks, and there's really just no comparing them. Now, styling wise, yeah, the old trucks look cooler. And if you don't agree, you're just wrong, because the old trucks look cooler. That's what it is. The new trucks the styling's great, and they're very elegant, and they're very, modern, I guess is the best term. But as far as do they look cooler than an old, C10s are super popular right now. The old bullnose that I have is starting to get more and more popular. And you just look at these old trucks and you're like, that's cool. It's hard to find that in a modern day pickup, especially when you go on the lot and there's 3,000 of the same exact pickup. You go to HEB and there's every single pickup looks just like yours. It's that cool factor that you just really can't monetize on the old pickups. People are trying to, but that's something that you just can't beat on these old pickups, is the cool factor. So hopefully this was somewhat informative. It was a lot of me rambling, but if you liked it, hit the subscribe button. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments below, and we will see you next time. Thank you.